you.
All right, perfect. All right, it's for the record, it's April 15th, 2025, 2:00 p.m. I'm Phil Albrecht, a hearing examiner for the city of Oak Harbor, holding a hearing this afternoon on a conditional use permit application for a daycare facility. This is case number 2501-000. I believe Mr. Lindenberg is going to be the lead staff person on this one. He'll start the hearing off by giving us an overview of the project. Once he's finished, then we can take comments from the applicant if they want. It's not required or even necessary, but if you want to be heard, that's certainly the time to get up to the podium and make your comments. After that, then we'll move on to public comments. And so far, it looks like probably Ms. Heller, the only persons here are going to be the applicant and staff. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So, but we'll still, I'll ask if any members of the public want to say something, and if there's anyone there that happens to come in, we'll give them a chance to speak. After that, we go back to Mr. Lindenberg to answer any questions that were raised. Applicant gets final word. If you hear something you want to respond to, applicants, you can put that in at the end of the hearing, and then I have 10 business days to issue a decision. So, not too complicated. By state law, I'm only allowed to consider evidence that's put in the record today, and so far that would be comprised of Mr. Lindenberg's staff report, and he included some attachments to that. We have Exhibit 1 is the staff report, 2 are application materials prepared by the applicant, 3 is the zoning and vicinity map, 4 are the noticing documents used for this proceeding, and finally 5 is a public comment, which I believe was submitted by a neighboring property owner. At this point, just want to ask if there are any objections to entry of those documents in the record. If you need to see them or have any objection, just wave your hand if you're in the meeting room, or if you're attending virtually, just click on the virtual hand that's up at the bottom of your screen, says raise. All right, not seeing or hearing any takers, I'll go ahead and admit exhibits 1 through 5. And Mr. Lindenberg, let me swear you in at this point. Just raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
I do.
Okay, great, go ahead.
So one note to start, the case number on this is a typo. There should be a 2 on the end of that. It's 2501-0002.
Oh, no.
So this is a very straightforward application. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, to be perfectly honest. The location was previously a tea house, and they had a tea service there essentially, and food and drink. So we did not experience any traffic issues based on that. So we weren't too concerned about having a daycare in that location. It is surrounded mostly by other residences, multifamily, single family, and some offices, and a school to the north, so it seems to fit in fairly well with the neighborhood there. The concern that we had from a neighbor was parking kind of spilling over into that neighboring parcel, and so we've put a condition of approval on there to have the patrons notified of where that they're supposed to park and drop off and everything, and I would expect that that's something that the applicant can do with a kind of introductory packet or an orientation type thing. And then the final thing that we had on there was we are currently in the process of doing a code amendment to essentially separate the regulation of square footage for the play area from our zoning code and allow the state regulations to guide that, so that we are not regulating the amount of square footage required for play areas, which used to be in our code or is still in our code right now. So we put a condition of approval in there that said that it needs to meet the current standard at time of operation. The applicant indicated that they're probably still a little ways off on that. By the time that they're operating, they should be well within the new regulation, which will be the state standard, and that's the standard that we want to go by. So that is one of the kind of caveats to this, but we figure that it'll work out well timing-wise to get there. So that's about all that I have as far as the presentation is concerned, unless you have any questions for me.
Just a couple of quick ones. I know that the adjoining property owner had asked for signage, and you seem to be favoring like information packets or something. Is there a reason? I mean, your condition leaves open either option, I think, but is there a reason signs wouldn't be the best option here? Or?
To be perfectly honest, it's kind of an awkward layout. The way the driveway is set up, and you can see on your aerial photo there, is that it is kind of a shared driveway where drivers will enter in and just kind of split off in either direction to go to whichever business. So where you would put that sign is, if you put it in the middle, it's going to get run over. I guess you could put something alongside the building, the applicant's building to have on there.
Yeah.
But I think once you get to that point, it's almost, it's kind of too late at that time. So my thought is, instead of having a sign put out there and the expense on a sign, or, having the neighbor have to do something too, is that when folks come in and, this is going to be a regular business. People are going to come here every day or, frequently, not just, visiting once every month or something like that. So that there will be habits built into that, I think. I think that having that just included as an introductory, when you start your child there, is probably sufficient.
Okay, that makes sense. And then your condition number 2, which basically says if you expand the facility and it's not, doesn't follow state or local regulations, you have to apply for an amended conditional use permit application. I mean, that seems to kind of imply that you can exceed those standards if you get a conditional use permit approval. I'm not sure. I mean, is there any utility to that condition? Because if they violate state or local standards, they're not allowed to expand anyway. So I don't know why you would require a conditional use permit application in that case. That's
yeah, I think that that not based on formulas was a poorly written attempt to make sure that it was the formula being used at the time, and I might have kind of messed that up. Because we are currently under, a formula based on our OHMC standards, and we're going to be moving over to a formula based on state standards, I think I just kind of muffed the wording on that one, to be perfectly honest. So if you feel that needs to be changed or removed or modified, we're certainly open to that.
Okay, sounds great. All right. Okay, well, let's move on to applicant. Like I said, don't have to say anything, but certainly welcome to. Always great to hear from the applicant.
The applicant has declined to speak on this.
Okay, that's perfectly fine too. All right, let's move on to public comments. And like I said, anyone in the room, I think we just have the applicant in the room, right? And attending virtually, I see a Tim Shelley. I don't know, is that somebody who's on staff or?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess that's it then. I did. Last call for anyone else out there. All right, no takers. I think I can just close the hearing then. That makes it real simple. And yeah, we just had another one of these, Mr. Lindenberg, like what, 3 months ago or something for a daycare center. So
yeah, I think we might be looking at changing our code so that we don't have to do these so frequently.
Sounds good. Well, there's always a big need for these facilities, so it's nice to see that another one sprout up there in Oak Harbor, and should be pretty easy approval on my part. So we'll get that decision of approval out within the next couple weeks. Thanks all for participating.